I think h5 might be a strong move. Let's go with that. Okay, interesting. It's marked as a mistake, but is it really a mistake? Hey guys, this is Andy from Noctie, and today we're gonna go through the weekly scenario for week 25 of 2025. Let's take a look at this week's position. This week's position is an exciting middle game where both sides have castle in opposite directions. In these types of situations, play usually becomes very sharp and tactical, where both sides launch their own attacks against the enemy king. Tempo is everything, and the side who first manages to break through usually wins. For that reason, White holds a clear advantage here, even though material is equal. White already has a pawn storm cooking up, with the g-pawn and h-pawn ready to march down. And furthermore, we have this beautiful battery of the queen and the bishop staring down this diagonal. And also, we have some more active pieces, for example the d4 knight here and the bishop on g5, both putting pressure on Black's kingside. Let's take a look at how the game might continue from here. White has a few different options to further improve the position. For example, we could play h5. This is a natural move, grabbing more space on the kingside, and also with the idea of moving away the bishop, for example to c1, and then going forwards with the g-pawn. Another move is to play e3, a very timid looking move, but with a beautiful idea behind it. First of all, this move further strengthens the center and protects the d4 knight. An important rule of thumb here: in order to have a successful kingside attack, you need to first control the center, and this move does exactly that. Another purpose of this e3 move is to free up the second rank. This allows us to bring the queen into action, for example by playing queen h2, creating a dangerous battery here on the h-file and supporting the h-pawn to push forwards. Both of these moves are very good, and White has also got a few other options. However, I would say that the most straightforward move here is to play bishop takes f6. This will win us a pawn immediately thanks to a tactical combination. So the idea is that when we play bishop takes f6, we remove the defender of the h7 pawn. And here, Black can try to recapture with the knight, defending the h7 pawn again. But now we have this beautiful pawn push, g5. We are chasing away the knight once again, and the knight will go to, for example, h5, and now the h7 pawn is hanging. We can simply grab it with the bishop while delivering a check at the same time. Black must move the king, h8 is the safest square, and here we have another beautiful move for White, bishop f5. So this is a really nice move, because when we are attacking, we need to have a good pace, and that means that we have to be both decisive and play on the initiative, but at the same time we can't rush things, and this move is a perfect example of that. We bring our bishop back to the action again, and at the same time stops Black from playing rook c8. Here, Black can try to develop with bishop c5, opening up the e-file, and we can also further improve our pieces with rook h to g1. The idea here is that the h-file is locked down and won't open up easily. Instead, we bring our rook to the g-file with the idea of supporting the g6 pawn push and potentially opening up the g-file. Black goes knight f4, a logical move trying to bring back the knight into the center. We can simply play queen d2, hitting the knight while also improving our queen. Black goes knight e6, centralizing the knight, and here, as we saw before, we can use the same idea with the move e3. This is a very strong move. We protect the d4 knight, further strengthening our center, and also free up the second rank. So the next few moves for White would be to, for example, bring over the queen to the king side and then start pushing the g and h pawns, and soon we'll be able to break through Black's king side. Now it's our turn to play against Noctie, but first, just a little warning. Even though White is much better here, it is still really difficult to win this, and the reason is that our initiative is temporary. We still need to find a sequence of good moves to convert our advantage into something more long-lasting. If not, Black will be able to regroup and our attacking window might slip away. Since I am currently in Rook 2, Noctie will also play at this level. If you're in a different rank, Noctie will adapt and play at your strength. Okay, let's begin. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. As we just analyzed, I'm going to go ahead and play bishop takes f6. Let's see what Noctie does. Oh, interesting. So already we are deviating from the example game. Noctie does not recapture with the knight. Instead, she recaptures with the bishop, giving away the h-pawn immediately. So I think here it's going to be a good idea to grab it. Yeah, it's good to grab a pawn with check. That way we are always material up, if anything. So I'm going to do that. Let's see where Noctie goes. She has two moves, f8 or h8. Okay, she goes king f8. Wow. So far, none of the moves that Noctie has been playing matches our example game. Okay, what do we do here? That is the question. So let's first look at the example move, bishop f5. I don't think this move is as efficient here because it does not stop black from playing rook c8. So instead, I'm going to try and find something else. The question is, can we play g5? It pushes our pawn forward with tempo. It looks good. I'm going to go with that. Okay, nice to have a green move. Let's see where Noctie goes. Okay, bishop e5. What do we do here? I think we can still take inspiration from the analysis, and I'm considering to play e3. A waiting move, strengthening the center and connecting our queen to the kingside by opening up the second rank. I think I'm gonna go with that. Alright, good to see. That is a green move. So that means that it's a good move, a solid move. Let's see what black does here. Alright, Noctie goes rook c8, a very natural move, developing the rook, taking over the c file and pinning our knight here on this diagonal. So the question is, what can we do here? I don't think Noctie is threatening anything, so that means that we can try to attack of our own. So important here when we have opposite side castling is that whenever the opponent makes a move, just stop for a few seconds and see if there is any concrete threat, because if not, then we can continue with our own attacking plan. And here I really want to play h5. Let's see if that works, because h5 will be followed with h6, and then we'll be able to break up black's kingside. So after h5, the g5 pawn is hanging, but black cannot capture it because then we'll have a fork here on f4. So I think h5 might be a strong move. Let's go with that. Okay, interesting. It's marked as a mistake, but is it really a mistake? Alright, Noctie captures, and here I think I can play f4 with a fork. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and we'll see if Noctie has a trick up her sleeve or not. Otherwise, it could simply be that she underestimates this f4 fork. Let's see. Alright, Noctie play queen h6, but our bishop is defended, so it's fine. And Noctie can't really try to trap it, because then we'll just capture and open up the h-file. That would be quite disastrous. So here I think we can simply just take the bishop, and now we are up a piece. Alright. Noctie will probably take back the pawn, getting back some material. Alright, so here we have actually managed to transform our initiative into a material advantage. And oftentimes that is exactly what happens, because it's usually quite hard to launch an attack that will lead to checkmate. Instead, the initiative transforms into a long-lasting edge like material. And here we are up a minor piece for a pawn. So it should be a comfortable position, but on the other hand, in this transaction, black has managed to get a few more active pieces. So here we have to be a bit careful not to allow too much initiative from black. So here I think I'm gonna go with bishop f5, bringing back our bishop and attacking black's rook. So if you can play a move with tempo, that is usually good, because then the opponent is forced to react to that move instead of creating their own plan. Okay, rook c5, natural move, a safe square, and also, yeah, protecting the d5 pawn. So what's the situation here? Well, our e3 pawn here is under fire, so we have to defend it. And I think a reasonable move here is queen f2, defending the pawn while also moving away from the pin. Nice, we got a blue move, which is a great move. That is really nice to see. So let's see what black does. Okay, bishop a6, targeting this diagonal. But we have this square covered, this square too, so I don't think there's any concrete threat just yet. So here we can simply try to further improve our position. What is a good move here? What can we play? Perhaps queen f4, offering a queen trade. Usually it's good to trade material when you are up a piece. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Okay, let's see what Noctie thinks. Oh no, a mistake. So today it seems that Noctie does not like my moves. But on the other hand, I can't really see how Noctie can punish us. So it could simply be the case that we had a much more effective way to win this. But here, okay, let's see. What do we do here?
One eternity later.
Alright, here I'll just trade queens. Nice, a green move. Finally, a good move. And here my idea is to push e4 because our pawn was under attack. And now we can push forwards and save it while also trading some pawns. Okay, Noctie is tricky here. She attacks our rook. But I think we can just play rook to e1, kicking the knight, and now Noctie must react. Probably a few more pieces will be traded off, and that is good for our side. Oh no, not yet. Noctie gives a check. But here, yeah, we'll just move the king to c1. Looks quite safe from there, and now the knight is under attack. So what will Noctie do? What will Noctie do? Okay, Noctie captures a bishop, and yeah, we are happy to see that. The question is, should we capture with the knight or the pawn? I think both are fine actually, but I prefer capturing with the pawn because this opens up the e-file, potentially leading to the rook exchange. Let's see if Noctie accepts our exchange. All right, she does. So now, with even more pieces gone off the board, our extra piece is becoming more and more valuable. She's hitting our knight. What can we do about it? Can we be tricky here? That is the question, right? Can we be tricky? If we move our knight, then the f5 pawn will be hanging. So either if we come up with a counter threat, or if we move our knight somewhere smart. I think we can just play knight f3. So the f pawn will fall, but it's fine. We can still convert this by attacking black's pawns. They are also weak. Let's see. Here I'm thinking of moving up our king. It's good to move out of the pin. Yeah, let's do that. So now we are threatening the d5 pawn. She goes forwards. And where do we move our knight? I think it's important to play knight e4 here to block off this diagonal. Otherwise, black would have this nasty threat on c2. So let's go with that. Nice! The first purple move or first pink move of the day. So this move is an excellent move. with this color. That is really nice to see, especially since we've been getting a few mistakes this session. Okay, Noctie is trying to be tricky with this pawn push. So here she's hitting our knight with these two pieces, so we must react. But I think we can just capture the d pawn, right? Our king goes up and protects our knight. So now everything is safe. And we're simply up a piece for one pawn. This should be quite comfortable converting this, although we still need to be quite careful. But I think like the most difficult part has been done. Noctie goes there. It's marked as a mistake, but I can't see how we can punish it immediately. So I'm gonna just go with my king, move away from this pin, and then move up with the king to help out in the attack. Let's see what Noctie plays. Alright, we continue with our plan, going up with the king and disturbing black's bishop. And as we saw before, all exchanges here are good, so we are very happy if Noctie changes pieces. But she does not. And now our a pawn is threatened. I think we can just play b3, stopping that. Let's see what Noctie does. We simply defend our pawn. Here, alright, rook d5, targeting our h-pawn. I think we can simply drop our knight back. Nice! A second pink move. Yeah, we're simply protecting our pawn, and all of our pieces are working closely together, so that is good. We control many key squares around our camp. What do we do here? The bishop is pinned. Can we utilize that in a nice fashion? I don't think so. Instead, I'm gonna go here, offer a rook exchange. All piece exchanges are good, so I'm gonna keep trying and see if we can manage to trade down some more. And now we're actually threatening a fork here because the bishop on e6 is being pinned. So let's go with that. Now we can take the h6 pawn probably. Yep. Alright, we take the h pawn and now the pawn count is equal, so we're simply up by a whole minor piece. Let's see how this one plays out. Alright. Here I think I'm gonna just give a check. Noctie must move the king somewhere. And now I think we can bring up our king to support the h-pawn. And soon we'll be able to push it down the board. And black must sacrifice, probably, to stop it. Okay, attacking our knight. I can simply defend it with the rook. Alright, now we're in a flow. Now we got several pink moves, so that is good. But on the other hand, we have a completely winning position, so perhaps that's not a huge feat to be proud of. But still, it's always good to find good moves, right? Here, I think I'll just push h6. If we can, why not just push the pawn? Let's see what Noctie does, because my following plan is to play knight h4, blocking off the h-file, and then continue pushing our h-pawn. Alright, f5, Noctie plays actively. So what do we do here? One idea is to ignore this threat and create a threat of our own, and that is to play knight d4, attacking black's bishop here on e6. And if black takes our knight, we can simply take the bishop. Let's go with that. Nice. So we're following the idea that all simplifications are good for us. So now we managed to trade off more pieces, And the question here is to capture with the rook or the knight. I think I'm gonna go with the knight. The rook here is also protecting the g3 square, so I think it's good to have it there. What do we do here? We can take the g4 pawn, for example, but then, then our h6 pawn will be hanging. So that is not good. How about just bring our knight back and then maneuver it around here to support our h-pawn. Alright, here I think we can just grab the pawn. Let's do that. Now we are whole knight up as well as a pawn. So from here it should be an easy win, but as always we need to be careful and not to make any blunders. And now we'll have checkmate in the next move. Alright, we can simply go queen b2, checkmate. Oof, very nice. We managed to do this. It wasn't easy at all. And as you could see, we managed to win because we transformed our initiative into a material advantage. Alright, so this week was a really tough one. And if you don't manage to solve it in the first try, don't be discouraged. It took me actually many tries to be able to win this. And as we saw, the difficult part is that when we have an initiative like this, it's important to play decisively and quickly. So we need to be able to transform the advantage into something more long-lasting, for example, a material advantage. Otherwise, the opponent will simply be able to catch up and get reorganized, and then our attacking window will slip away. This is a great exercise to practice one's attacking skills and also to practice one's calculation skills and being able to spot tactical patterns. Hope you also had fun playing this position. And as always, thank you so much for watching and happy playing. Bye bye.